What is poppin', y'all? We are back with another episode of the Squid Game Aftermath podcast, season 2, where I talk with the players from season 2, Squid Game, the challenge, to see their point of view on what really went down in the games this season. Today, I got a special guest, man. This man wasn't around super long in the game, but he had made a name for himself in the dorms. I have heard from a few others as well. One of the youngest players on the cast. And without further ado, I introduce player 401, Steven. What's poppin'?
Yes, sir. What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me here, dude.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Like I said before we recorded, you on Instagram be cracking me up. If y'all ain't checked out Steven's Instagram, go check out his Instagram, man.
Man, you gotta have fun, dude.
Exactly. You got to have fun. Well, Steven, I'm a pleasure to have you on. I'm going to start out with your player profile,
That's good, man.
mean mugging the camera, but
Yeah.
you are a residential counselor.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I work in a facility with kids with behavioral problems. A lot of kids that grew up in just kind of, crappier home situations when they were born, not really dealt great cards in life, and so they end up in this facility. Some of our kids don't have like parents, some do, it just depends, but a lot of them same concept, behavioral problems. And so my job is working directly into the house where they live day to day and trying to offer them some guidance and hopefully get them back on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's what it's all about. You giving back to the kids who don't have much, especially, this time of year as well. So you're doing the Lord's work. Cause I used to work with behavioral kids.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah,
woo,
yeah,
the school, we had like white walls and everything, and it was a lot.
yeah. Dude, it's not an easy job, man. Definitely not.
It's not. And so you're in Illinois, Chicago?
No, that's what everybody says though. No, I'm more like near Springfield, near Springfield. So
Okay,
Chicago's
okay.
like a completely different world to me. I'm basically in like a different state. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, no, I've driven through Springfield. Abraham Lincoln, right?
Yeah. Yep. The Abe Lincoln is what made Springfield famous, man.
Okay. Shout out Abe Lincoln,
Hmm.
one of our better presidents.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, and so you're the voice of Derek Johnson, the host of the independent animated reality competition YouTube series Disventure Camp.
Yes, sir. This is him right here. This is the Funko Pop I got made for him. Shout out Todd Herzog, Survivor 15 China winner, for making this Funko Pop. Yeah, man.
Nice. That's lit.
Yeah, dude. It's a fun cartoon on YouTube, dude. It's like very similar to Survivor, just an animated version, a lot like Total Drama Island that was on Cartoon Network way back in the day. Uh, just an independent company. Loved the concept in that show, and I had seen because I've made YouTube videos like this stuff for years, and so I had heard a little bit about their project when it was up and coming, and then one of my buddies was involved in the first season, and he's like, dude, you gotta apply for this. He's like, it's really fun. Like this is just a great opportunity. Everything, you gotta audition. And I was like, all right, like whatever, I'll throw my hat in the ring, and I auditioned for it. I really didn't think I would even get like a text back for it, let alone to get all the way to the point where I got the character, but yeah, I remember being at work in a random email from one of the creators and thinking like, well, he wouldn't be messaging me for any other reason. So started talking to him for a bit, and then I talked to them. Went through a few more interviews and talked, and then yeah, I was eventually offered the role, and I done. Let's see, I did season 1, I did season 3, and then season 4. So I did 3 seasons as Derek, and then maybe we'll do more in the future. Who knows, man?
That's awesome, man. That's all. That's lit. Shoot, you got to
Yeah,
tell me when I can audition because that
yeah,
sounds
dude.
like something I'd like to do.
Hey man, audition for season 6. They'll be holding them soon.
Hey, if they got any black characters, let me know.
100%, dude. We got you.
That's lit, man. Well, y'all check out. I'm gonna check it out too. This venture camp, man. It sounds pretty cool. I'm excited to look into it because I'm always getting into new shows. So, well, cool. Well, your birthday's also coming up, so happy early birthday.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, dude. Had I made it farther in the season, I would have been in the dorm on my birthday. But unlike Eric, who says he was in the dorm on his birthday, I actually would have been in the dorm on my birthday. But unfortunately, I got cooked, dude, right before. Brutal.
Right before. Well, we're gonna get into that. So, Steven, why did you decide to apply to Squid Game the Challenge season two?
Well, I've been like I've had an unhealthy obsession with reality competition for my entire life. I'm 24 and I've watched it since 2010. I remember being 9 years old and randomly seeing Survivor on the TV and watching John Cochran, decimate people and fans' favorites too. And I was thinking, like, I didn't even understand what the heck was going on, but I was still so captivated by it at a young age. And then when cartoons like, Total Drama Island came out, that really, really got me in at a young age to that concept of I don't know what it is, but the concept of start with a big group and then over time slowly knock people out and then get smaller and smaller and go down to just one person. Something about that, I love it. I don't know what it is, but it just entertains me, fascinates me. And so I've always wanted to do a show like this. Ever like the moment I was old enough to apply for Survivor, Big Brother, The Amazing Race. I mean, like I've applied for like Wheel of Fortune, dude. Like I have auditioned for everything. Like I have always wanted to be on reality competition, any type of show. I've always wanted to. And then when they did the first Squid Game the Challenge audition, like for season one, I remember seeing it and thinking like, I don't know, because like Mr. Beast had just done his, and then a lot of stuff had happened, and so I was like, I don't really know how this is gonna be. I kind of wanted to see like what the product was gonna actually look like, and then when it came out, I was like instant regret. I'm like, why did I not apply for this? I was like, dude, this is so awesome. Like the challenges for your guys' season was insane, and like just everything about it, dude, looked so good. I was like, well, I've got to apply now. And I remember I was driving home from work, and I was on the phone with a few of my buddies, and we were all talking about just different stuff. And one of them was like scrolling on social media, and he was like, "Oh, Squid Game the Challenge is casting for season two." He's like, "Should we apply?" And a bunch of the guys were like, "Ah, no, no, no." And I was like, "I'll do it." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, do it, do it." And I was like, "All right, why not?" And so I left the call and I immediately started recording instantly in my car. And that's how I opened my video up. I was just like, hey, this is what's happening. I was on the phone with my friends and they told me like you need to apply for Squid Game the Challenge season two, and now I'm talking to you. And then I just talked to them for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then ended my video by saying, like, I didn't have a lot of time to talk to you, but if you call me back, I promise you're not going to regret it. And then sent it off 2 months. Dude, 2 months later, I completely forgotten I'd even auditioned for it. 2 months later, I was at work and got a random text. Hey, this is so and so from Squid Game. Dude, I don't even know like how to describe that feeling. It was insane. I just stared at my phone for like probably 15 minutes straight before I even answered, before I even responded. Like I was just trying to digest what happened. But anyways, yeah, long answer on why I applied, but yeah, just been a fan of this stuff for years, man.
Hey, man, no, that's excellent. I started watching reality TV a long time ago myself. I remember. I watched like the dating shows, and it comes like Flavor of Love
Yeah,
and Rock of Love and stuff on MTV, The Real World, all that stuff. So I started a while ago, and it's kind of addicting as a child. You see it, and then you just I think it's a mixture of the competition along with like the real life stuff, along with just the people. Honestly, the
yeah,
characters, you probably were captivated by a character, and that's what really dived you in. Like there was a couple characters I was really entwined with. I think the first vividly, I mean, New York, of course, that was like duh. And
yeah,
then for the first season, I never watched Big Brother Survivor. Like my grandmother watched that, but I just couldn't get into it because I just could not imagine myself on an island. That's just not. I was
yeah,
like, I would never watch something I couldn't do. And so the first vivid remember or memory of somebody that just is ingrained in my memory is I watched the first season of the challenge Fresh Meat, and I just remember Wes cussing out Casey the whole show.
yeah,
He went ham on her the whole show, and my jaw was just on the floor. I was like, wow, like this is what's going on. I'm like a kid at the time, and I'm just like, wow, like this was really going on, and
yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, I remember
So
being like
if you ain't
6
watched that
watching
season,
Fear
check it out.
Factor, dude, like on MTV popping up, dude, Joe Rogan, like that's how I was introduced to the world of it. So yeah, I don't know, man. I something about it, dude. Just yeah, like you said, it's the combination of the all of the crazy stuff they're doing and the fact that it's real. They're real people. Love it.
Oh yeah, Fear Factor as well. That's a class. I always wanted to do that show. I did the Fear Factor in Universal when they had it in Universal.
Really?
That's about
What was
it. So
that like?
it was lit. Now it may kind of make it. I mean, I'm not gonna be scared, but they have you hanging from like 50 feet in the air. You getting, doing the obstacle course. You gotta eat some stuff. So it was all the stuff I wanted to do. So
Yeah. No, that'd be
I was
fun,
happy
man.
with it. It was fun. So you get the call, you find out you're on the show and whatnot. You go through the casting process. So congratulations, you have made it on the show. It is the last night you're in Illinois before you get on the plane to go to London. Tell me how you feeling.
Dude, I was like, well, of course I couldn't sleep. Like number one, I was wide awake. Every single thing like about the game or what I could do, all of it was just a million miles an hour. Like I was just telling myself I'll sleep on the plane. I'll sleep on the plane. Like I was just, preparing myself mentally. And that's really it. Like I just kept telling myself like, for one, I was telling myself like don't blow it. Don't screw it up, which whatever happened happened. But I was just really above all else just trying to I'm a big, big, big believer in, a lot of us we don't appreciate the good times until it's too late and we're already out of them and then we're thinking about them and then nostalgic for them. And so I really, really, really try to maximize and appreciate every single second of my life. And so I knew and recognized like I've applied for several shows and I never even got a call back for any of them. This was the first one I had ever even gotten a call back, let alone, gotten on. And so I was like, I am taking every single second and I am appreciating it times a million. And that's really for me, it was just mentally preparing myself to go out there and to leave the world behind and just put everything, all of my eggs into that basket. And that's how I was whenever I got out there, man. Like nothing existed. But that was my mind and that was my world.
That's one pulling on heartstrings right now, Coach. You got to give me some tears coming out my eyes like that. But that's excellent. That's the mindset you got to have, man. And you definitely encapsulated that. So you get there, you stay a couple nights at the hotel. It's the last night in the hotel before you head to the dorms. Tell me now how you feeling.
Dude, it's like man, I was so nervous. I remember like our group of us, we we were all like the night before trying to plan and just everything like because you're when you're in the hotel, everybody is secluded, but like when you go to do your meals and things like that, that's your only bit of interaction time to try to keep you slightly sane, while you're in the hotel. And so you start to meet certain people while you're in there, of course, and you got everybody in the giant banquet hall. And there was just certain people we'd talk to and stuff, and everybody would speculate on what was going on. And I just remember that last day in the hotel, just everybody. It was constant, like the speculation and paranoia was times a million for everyone. Like because that's what people were like. Hey, this is gonna get real. And I remember them like they refused to tell us what time we had to wake up. They wouldn't tell us. They just said, you're gonna want to get sleep. You're gonna want to try to have some rest. But they were like, are we gonna, is this like a 6 a.m. thing or is this like a 1 a.m. thing? And they're just like, I don't know. And I'm like, bruh. So like, you just basically had to like if you wanted to shower before the game, you had to like just guesstimate on when to wake up. And so there were so many different little factors that would lead into the stress of just trying to mentally prepare yourself because there were so many variables. But that was what I kept reminding myself whenever I was like getting, kind of worked up by the elements. I was like, well, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. This is the point. This is what they're wanting to do. We're not supposed to just go into this game super comfortably. This is a social experiment. It's called that for a reason. So like, I'm just getting myself like mentally prepared and just staying strong, but also trying to calm down the nerves. Because like we thought it was red light, green light. So I was just like, I was just trying to make sure like my leg wasn't going to twitch, anything like that. Like I was just anything I could do to keep every percent of my body at just complete peace. That's what I was trying to do that night before, man. Just go in locked in.
Okay, that's right, man. You gotta focus up. It's
Yeah.
time. And so you leave, you finally wake up the next morning, you do get woken up and you head to the dorm. So when you first step into the dorms, tell me your initial reaction.
It was It was pretty surreal, dude. It was kind of like if you've ever met a celebrity, you're just kind of standing there and you're just staring at it or walking around, but it doesn't feel real. Like I could walk up to The Rock and I'd sit there and like, just like touch his face, but I'm like, no, this is not Dwayne Johnson. There's no way you're standing in front of me. This is how I felt walking around in these dorms, dude. I was like I'm walking around, my everything is bright because these white freaking walls are everywhere, and everybody's going nuts. Like that was that feeling of euphoria from everybody. I can't even explain it because like I said, you have these interactions in the hotel and they're brief, but you get to see everybody and we're all excited, like everybody's all giddy to do the show, but then you get in there and we're actually doing it and it is night and day. Like the most reserved, quiet people that I would see were all, jumping around, screaming, excited, smiling, like everybody was hugging each other and like just so much like the energy and the vibes from everybody, like it was immaculate, dude. So I couldn't be anything other than just like an out of body surreal experience. I was just so blessed to be in there, taking in everything. Like every single thing I could look at, I was looking at.
That's lit, man. That's lit. So who were some of the people you got close with initially when you were in there?
Yeah, so my main guy that I met out there that I got pretty close with is player 350. His name's Roger. Roger is he's a pretty focal point on our O gang. He gets his neck obliterated in the shot and drops dead. Like he's one of the focal dying shots for us. But I met Roger pretty early on, and he was nice to have there because he's older and a lot more mature. Obviously, he's got a lot more life experience, and so he was able to just like him and I could talk about things that were just completely irrelevant from the game out there in the hotel, and he'd give me advice and stuff, and it was nice to just have somebody like that. And so Roger was somebody that I got really close with. My buddy John Bracamontes, who's out near St. Louis, my other Illinois boy. I love John. Got pretty close with him, man. And just like so many people out there, like even ones that didn't get eliminated with us. Like I had so many friends. Like I was pretty close with John T in the hotel. Like I loved John T, and so that was somebody that I was pretty tight with and loved seeing him make it farther in. But yeah, man, a lot of us are O gang, dude. Like my buddy Jacket. Oh, Jacket was he had quite the, the situation in there, man. Like, it was brutal in that O gang. There was a lot of us. Like, it's hard to remember everybody's numbers just because like there's so many people there, but our whole group, our whole little group, like me, Jacket was in there. We had, like I said, John was in there. This guy BJ from Kentucky was in there. He was awesome. Azaria from Florida was there. I had this girl Renee was there. She was super sweet. I mean, we had so many people in there that we were like, dude, just had we made it through that first freaking challenge, man, I think we would have had such an entertaining group. It's a whole new season. That's a a tangent in itself, but yeah, those were my people.
Yeah, no, a whole new show, man. They gotta switch out all the shots, and you got new stars, obviously new winners, and
Yeah.
it would have been really cool. I wish we could have had like two separate seasons and the finalists from each O and X meet
Yeah.
up in the Latin League. That would
Yeah.
have been something cool, or at least give the host a chance. But we'll get there. So you meet all these people and whatnot, and soon the guards come out and they announce that their first game, your first task is you must either get an X or an O. So tell me what you pick and why.
Man, so I went with the O's, and it was like pretty. I'll be honest, it was a pretty easy decision for me. Like when we were in the hotel and we had to take our pictures for like our cast photos and all that stuff in our suits, we had we all noticed that our patches, we had our number patch and then we also had the voting patch on the other side, and so we knew, and obviously if you watch the show you kind of get a feeling, hey, you're probably going to be doing some type of voting like that, especially with the second season being far more about those tribal lines. And so it was pretty expected. So I was already like thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna have to make a decision. I'm gonna choose X or O. Which one would I pick and why? And instantly I thought like, well, on paper and entertainment value, the O's are supposed to be more entertaining. That's supposed to be the more energetic group. This is supposed to be the group of everybody that wants to win and keep the games going. So I was like, well, that was the side that resonated with me instantly, like just internally. And then when we actually got there and they said that you need to divide, I just looked around for all of the friends that I had made in the dorm, and the vast majority of them were on the O's. And so, like, for me, I just was like, I mean, if they're going to cut 2 rooms off, I may as well, like, it didn't make a lot of sense for me to go on the side that had virtually nobody that I was close with. Because, like, John T, who I mentioned earlier, he was on our side. And, like, last time I saw him, he was on the O's, and then I turn around, and then he's standing, like, literally, like, there's the perfect shot of them when they're running down the middle, and all of us are, yelling at each other, X's and O's, and John T's, like, right there on the line. I looked over, and I'm not very far from him on the O side, pretty parallel to him, and I remember just being like, what the hell happened, man? Like, he was right next to me, and then he got over there. And that happened with a few of us where, like, people got split off, like, last second like that, and to the ones that got split off from the O's to the X's, congratulations. And to the other ones, man, sorry about it. But yeah, I was going with my friends, like, because had I went with the X's and the O's won, and I died, and all of like the people that I was with made it, dude, I would have never forgiven myself. Like, it would have been so much worse than the outcome that I had. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's tough, man. They got in some people's ears. They're like, you might want to step over, coach. And so, well, you picked the O's, obviously, because your friends there are very, very understandable. I would have picked the O too, because I'm thinking, oh, we will move on. We want to keep, we want to keep playing, So that's kind of how it was in the show, and that's where I would have thought. And so, but they soon separate you guys. The X's leave the room and the O's stay in the dorms. And they announce the game is counting. The team who gets the 456 closest to it and stops the buzzer then wins. The team furthest away loses. So when you heard these rules, tell me what you were initially thinking.
So I won't lie, like, my first thought, and I mean no disrespect to the production, but my first thought was I did not love the challenge idea, obviously, because I had nothing to do with me. I was like, come on, man, like, this is kind of a little crazy. So that I was just thinking to myself, I have to relinquish pretty much all control in this moment. I knew there wasn't anything I could do. I didn't have any expertise on counting any more than anybody else did. When they were not, like, saying that we needed volunteers, my mission was basically to just try to advocate for my friends, the ones that or just anybody, like the best person, and that person we tried, and you see it in the episode where it cuts to the O's and we're screaming like, hey, he's a musician, that we're pointing at Roger, and that's who we're trying to say, Roger, hello, this is what he does, like, put him in this spot. But uh like, I didn't really fight too hard when the actual challenge started, because there was so much chaos. I wouldn't have done anything except for contributed to the chaos. There would have been, you know, not much success in my contribution, unfortunately.
Yeah, you got to play your part now, and just there's some people wanting to step up and do it, and they're gonna get wild about it. It's time. So,
Yeah.
the game is about to begin, and you guys have your plan, quote unquote, and selecting the people up front. And so when it gets started, tell me, were you counting along with everyone, or were you just watching the people up front?
I was watching. I didn't count. I kind of just wanted to observe how everybody was acting. See, like, for me, because a lot of people have talked about how when they thought that we might, not have much success, they were going more towards the button and sitting like around that area, because they wanted to, in case they died, they were like, oh, well, let me get a good shot and be right there. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking, I'm not dying. I'm in this game for $4.56 million. What you talking about? Like, I was sitting there in the background, dude. I'm still like, even though like everything in my brain is saying, bro, we're cooked. Everything was telling me it was over. I was still sitting there watching watching everybody, analyzing everybody, because I'm like, in the off chance that we do survive, I got to be one of the only people in this dorm that's doing this right now, because everybody else was sitting there like calling their loved ones, basically like saying goodbye, bro. Like it was a wrap for us. So yeah, I was just studying. I was people watching the whole time, trying to figure out how people were handling the situation. And I was memorizing their number because the people who were going a little crazy, I was going to be typing their number in and voting them out if it came to it.
This man was strategizing during the game instead of playing the game.
I couldn't do
Okay,
nothing.
okay. And so you guys get started late. Well, the counter gets started late and
Bro.
whatnot, and things seem to be getting slowly chaotic. So, from your point of view, how did this go down?
Well, first, before we even start counting, they showed it very briefly in the episode, but and hey, she's a very sweet woman. Like, I'm not, no disrespect to her, but she turns around to all of us and is like, guys, if we don't survive, don't be mad at us. And I'm just like, what? Like, come on, bro. What you talking about if we don't survive? We've been in this game for 3 hours and you're talking about going home already? Can we put someone else in this spot? It was kind of like, we're like getting stressed, man. It's like, you've got to have confidence. You don't go into the Super Bowl and say, hey guys, I mean, let's just go out there and have some fun. Like, you're going out there to win. Like, this is the championship. And yeah, so that was already like red flag number one. And like, you can kind of like hear the audience reaction when she says that in the episode, where we're just like, huh, like in the background. And like, dude, it was times 1,000. Everybody was like, oh hell no, like you've got to lock in, like you've got to be confident. And so then we go and they announce, that your challenge starts now. And like people were pressed about them not being like, okay, your time starts in 3, 2, 1. But they told us, they said that in the dorm that they were going to just say that it was going to start. So it was our fault that we weren't ready. It was our fault that we were chaotic and we were yelling over each other. Other people want to make excuses, whatever. It was our fault that we died and we lost because everybody was so chaotic and contributing to that chaos. There was no real communication. But yeah, then she starts counting slow because there's no communication. So we kind of knew from that point that we were not going to survive based off of our own success. We were going to have to survive off of the failure of the X's, basically. I'm like, I don't know if they could go over the time limit and we could just kind of Price is Right this thing, or if we're going to go over, I didn't know. But that was basically my only sort of hope. I was like, maybe their counter will have a heart attack halfway through. I don't know. Like, I was like holding on to anything, bro. Like, it was, I'm just there like, I don't know. Maybe I could like come back with a mustache for season 3 and change my name and they won't know. I was already trying to think of like anything, man. It was, it was not like a good one.
This man said, look, it might be wraps before it even gets started. The Christmas present is not under the tree right now. Well, yes, the game starts and, you guys are kind of cooked from the get-go. Chaos ensues. And then, unfortunately, the game ends up where, you guys do not win. So when you found out that you lost, what was your initial thought?
Well, so, and I've heard, you can hear different people have different perspectives on this because everybody's sitting in different spots. So depending on if you were around certain members of production, I know some people unfortunately overheard radio talks that basically said, hey, get ready to kill the O's, stuff like that. So, and we had we all had accepted our fate pretty much, but I knew that we were for sure cooked because they had this girl, and I don't remember who she was. They sent her out of the dorm. They were like, hey, this specific player, can we have you come out here real quick? We need to fix your mic pack, which I'm thinking, you just put 456 mic packs on everybody in front of everybody. There should be no reason why you gotta take her in the back to do this, number one. But then she left, dude. She was a little nervous, but okay. When she came back in the dorm, she was hysterically crying. Like, it was clear that whatever she witnessed and heard in the other room was not good. And so, like, I'm like, how do you expect me to think this is good news, bro? She's walking in here crying. Like, she clearly just got the news that we're all on death row and it's about to happen. Like, oh man, so all of the stars, like the writing, like everything was clearly painfully obvious. So I guess at the very least, like I was able to mentally prepare myself a bit more for it. So when the actual like I'm sitting there in the on the stairs and the shot is very brief because like I said, I'm over there back in the stairs, so there's not a big shot of me dropping dead. I'm more so in the background. But for very briefly, you'll see a shot where I just don't accept that that's my fate. Like everybody starts dropping around me, and it takes me about a full second from everybody else to just be like, "Oh my god!" And then I finally just dropped because I was just like, bro, like, there's no way this is real. Like, I felt my chest, like, the ink pack go off, and everything's just I'm like, oh, and then people are dropping dead, dude, and like, just people, like, I'm hearing all sorts of just everything getting yelled left and right, and I was like bleeding out on the stairs, and I'm just laying there, like, what in the hell is going on, bro? Like, how did this just happen to me? I spent like 6 months standing still for red light, green light just to die because I couldn't even count. And I wasn't even the one counting. It's like, bro, I made dachi for nothing. I know how to cook dalgona for nothing. Like, what the hell? I was like, bro. But I had fun, man. Like it was a great time, like being out there and playing the game. But bro, what a I couldn't like so many people were mad, and I was like, how can I be mad? This is like the most absurd thing that's ever happened to me. Like this is hilarious. I went through this whole process and all of this, and this is how I'm going out. Like I don't know, dude. Why not? Like every person I've told like at home that's asked me how like I got eliminated, and I tell them the challenge people have the same reaction. We're like, there's no way that that happened. And I'm like, yeah, that's really what happened. Like, dude, I don't know, man. I can't be mad. Like, all I do is laugh about it. I think it's funny.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, this is kind of unheard of to see something kind of like that. Did you end up crying when you first got out, or did you hold it
So
together?
a lot of people were crying. I didn't cry when I first got out because I was so just like in shock, but also my job is like regulating emotions and keeping people up. So I just kind of instantly went into work mode and I kind of stopped really thinking about myself. I was more so just trying to keep all my people together. And because that was the hard part for me was like, I could accept that this dumb thing happened to me and like I got out in this absurd way, but it was when I looked at Roger and I could see, he was dead too, and all of my friends who like had all of these amazing stories and things that they were gonna do with their money and all this stuff, and we all were just dead, and like, yeah, that was the hard part was seeing people on my side dead, and this guy Shariko I met out there, dude, he was locked in, laser focused. He was a super super cool guy, and I remember seeing him cry, and that was devastating because I didn't see that. The only emotion I had seen from him was this dude was a stone cold killer, and so to see that side of him was hard, and yeah, it was devastating to see a lot of people upset. And obviously, I was upset, and I had my emotions more so when I got home after a few weeks removed was whenever I started kind of to be like that, like what, like that really happened, and like I started being a little more like kind of not like upset about it, but just more disappointed in the fact that people were actively still in the dorms and I was back at home, and like I was just a little jealous, like naturally, but outside of that, like so blessed for the experience. You know what I mean? I can't harbor any resentment. Some people are so negative, and I couldn't relate to that in the slightest.
Yeah, no, I mean that's good that you were able to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and look at the positive side of things. It's very difficult, because that you're telling yourself like that could be me, that should be me, but then at the same time, it's not. So
Yeah,
you can't really do anything about that. And the only thing that's going to hurt is just you continuing to hold this kind of resentment towards the situation and whatnot instead of just let it be what it is. And yeah, I mean, that's life sometimes, the eggs don't always fall in your basket
yeah.
without getting cracked. Yeah, I mean, I think you took a very, very, very mature approach for the situation, and I'm happy to hear that you're okay. You were okay because
Yeah, man.
a lot of people just were not. But at least the good thing is you were able to talk with some of the people and stay in contact that were out in the O, so you
Yeah,
guys could like have this group therapy session and whatnot, and not just deal with it on your own. So I think
yeah.
that's the best part about that.
Most definitely, dude. I got the trauma bond with 200 some people that day, and a lot of us like, yeah, it's even though it was a hard thing, like there's like you said, you have the people you can reach out to, so it's not like I'm the only person in the world that has this very unique experience and nobody else can relate to it. I could I could tell other people, I could talk to these people that I was out there with about that. And actually, one of the O's was like, could you imagine if they did season 3 of Squid Game the Challenge and they did a very similar challenge and screwed people over in the same way? And I was like, well, I guess we'd have like more people that could relate to us. Like we could share another little trauma session with them, I guess. But yeah, it's been nice to have some people to reach out to, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And so, yeah, you told me like how you felt when you got home. I talked to this one person about this prior, which you can divulge in this if you want. Do you feel like the O's have been mistreated by the X's?
Mistreated by the exes in what way?
I say mistreated as in like treated less than. Somebody mentioned that to me.
By the exes? Like by the
Huh?
players? Like by the specific players?
I
The
think like
exes?
okay, not like bullied by any means necessary, but just, as not as important in the show per se.
Oh, you mean like after the game?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I have a big personality, so I'm always like trying to make people laugh. It's a little easier for me to like stand out in a room more so. But some of the other people, I could definitely see that, like that. Yeah, like 100%. It's kind of it is a little like I feel a little kind of like goofy sometimes being like in a conversation with like you know August who made it all the way to Mingle and has this big sacrifice and just being like yeah, man, like that was so crazy we were out there because like I was out there with them, but it is different. Like they do have a little bit of a different experience than we do. But I will say some of the people like who made it really far, but like got absolutely no screen time. Maybe they should have a little more grace. Like, be humble. You made it far. You had a blessed experience, but like, we had the same amount of lines. You know what I mean? So it's like, we had a great experience. But I personally, I have not had any negative like interactions. But I would not be surprised if some people have. Out of 456 people, it's natural for a couple of people to maybe not love each other.
Normal, very normal. And so, what do you think your biggest takeaway is from being a part of Squid Game: The Challenge season 2, or lesson that you learned?
Dude, it's hard to like pick just one because there's so many things. I mean, like the main thing that I think about, of course, is the people because I have made like lifelong friendships off of people that I knew for just a few days, and that's insane to me that that's even possible. But that's the reality of the situation. That first and foremost, meeting all of those people and doing that, the experience, and above all else, it just being out there kind of ignited a fire in me for pretty much everything that I wanted in life. Like I'm at this like awkward stage in my life now, being at 24, where I'm starting to get like, it's starting to get more serious. I need to like start locking in a lot more, and uh, so in some ways felt like I was getting a little behind, and being out there reminded me that hey, because I was 23 when I was out there, and I'm like, I think you're doing all right, man. You're 23 and you're on Squid Game. Like, you're doing okay. You gotta breathe a little bit and relax. And so being out there like gave me a bit of patience and reminded me that I am on track, and I need to I've always put a lot of pressure on myself to try to be ahead of the game. I always wanted to be ahead of everybody else. Like I'm from a really small town. It's very competitive, like being in a small town, and so I always was like just wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted to be somebody that people knew and respected, and so I cared a lot about my image and working hard on that. And going out here, I realized like don't care. Like who cares about what you do because all of the people that like when I was, like I said, I've been obsessed with this stuff for years, and like whenever growing up in school, it was not cool to want to do YouTube. Like when I was in, fifth grade, like you got made fun of for making YouTube videos. Like people were like what, you sit at home and you watch somebody play video games on your computer, you're a loser. Like that's how people thought. Like they made fun of me for it. So like I never had the confidence in myself to do any of that. And going out here above all else like reignited that fire in me to be like, no, not only should you have the confidence, but it's what you're out here to do. Because that was what I pitched my story to Netflix. That's what I auditioned for, was my story. That's what I talked about in my audition video and all of that. And that's why I got cast. And so it was just a nice reminder that what I'm doing is what I'm meant to be doing. The path that I'm on is what I'm meant to be on, and everything is going the way that it's supposed to be going. And to just breathe, relax, stop competing with everybody, and just like, you're good. Because I got to see people that were my age, that were, in their 60s, all sorts of different walks of life, people who are insanely successful, people who are not. I met people out there, John. John is a great example. John's story is insane. Like him, he had a very, very, very troubled upbringing. He was involved in a lot of stuff and just really was going down a bad path. And he changed his life. And now he's got kids. He's very proud of his family, very proud of himself, and he should be. He's worked very hard to get to that point. And those types of stories, I'm sorry, I know this is a long answer, but those types of stories and those people that I met, like that is the type of stuff that I took away, and it made me just more and more motivated to stay on the right path and to not fall off of that path. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I kind of, it's a long answer, but that's just, I don't know. That's kind of what I took away from it, man. Main thing.
No, that makes perfect sense, man. That's beautifully said too. Like you said, you keep bringing the emotions out, man. Like you're strong with your words. You definitely need to be a TED Talk motivational speaker one day, because you got a strong way with your words and tugging
Oh,
on
thank you, man.
heartstrings, and you said that very proficiently and very sound. So, big ups to that. I mean, you taking away a lot, and that's what's most important. And you can take what's going on that you did in the game out the game. If it wasn't for the show, I wouldn't be doing a lot of what I've been doing the last 2 years. I mean, I changed a lot of what I do completely. My world kind of went on a 180 from before the show and after the show. Well, years after the show, as I started building what I started doing. So people who follow my journey on, YouTube, especially, I started doing YouTube after the show. I started doing content creation after the show. It started from nothing. And if it wasn't for the show, I don't know where I'd be. Probably not doing this. Definitely it's something to take from it, but it all starts with the seed to grow into a big tree. But thank you, Stephen. This was great to get to talk to you, hear your story inside of things. I'm glad we got to chat about it and you got to relive it a little bit.
Yeah.
If the people who want to follow you and keep up with your journey, where can they find you at?
Yeah, man. My Instagram is I'm Steven Gordon, Steven with a V. That's the right way to spell it. And yeah, my YouTube channel is just Stevie G. Go check that out, man. That's really the main stuff. That's where to follow me. I've got other socials, but those are the main ones that I post on. Those are my main passions. So that's where you check me out, man. And follow all the stuff, because all of this type of content, this world, this is like DeAndre, what you're into, man. I'm right there with you, man. This is my world. Like all of this stuff, I love it. So if you guys like DeAndre, you're gonna like me, of course. Come on now.
Exactly. If y'all gonna like my stuff, you definitely gotta have to subscribe and follow his stuff. We might have to just collab on this video on YouTube. I've never done a collab on YouTube before, so this might have to be the
You've
first
never
one since
done
you
a
actually
collab
gotta
on
act.
YouTube? What? Dude, I think we just made some stars align right here. I think we're gonna have to talk afterwards.
Okay, cool. You might have to. I've know the collab button. I've never used the feature before. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I might have to with this video. So
Let's,
yeah, and,
yep.
and future stuff as well. We're gonna have to talk after this and maybe get some things into work, because it sounds like we got some similar interests going down. And you got the motivation for the motivation, I'm just made that up. But anywho, thank y'all for joining me in this episode. Appreciate you again, Stephen, for coming through. And for the rest of the people at home, thank y'all for tuning in. Peace, blessings, deuces, and have a great rest of your day and happy Thanksgiving.
Sir.